Good morning, kia ora, and welcome to Auckland, New Zealand. Auckland's the largest city in the whole of Aotearoa, New Zealand, population of approximately 1.6 million people. We've had a very fleeting visit to Auckland this time, just arriving late last night. But yeah, it's going to be a very exciting day today. We're going to be heading up to the Bay of Islands for the next few days, where I'm going to film some incredible content for you guys. We're going to be heading up to Paihia, which is the main tourist town in the Bay of Islands. Originally, I was just going to fly Air New Zealand up there, perhaps stay at Auckland Airport overnight and then fly up there the next day. But yeah, it turns out, unfortunately for my sake, in terms of prices and availability and all that sort of stuff, it's a long weekend here in New Zealand. Auckland Anniversary Day falls on Monday. Today's a Friday, so yeah, fares for Air New Zealand are going to be over $300 for a 45-minute flight. Couldn't really justify paying such steep prices, so instead I've opted to take the Intercity bus service. Took about 3 Intercity bus services both on the North and South Island last year and was really happy, very comfortable way to journey around New Zealand affordably. So that's what we're going to do today. Going to cost me a lot more affordable, $55. So yeah, today we're going to be journeying with Intercity from Auckland up to Paihia. It's only about 225 kilometres up to the Bay of Islands. The distance via the coach will take around a 4-hour and 15-minute journey. Without further ado, let's check out my absolutely spectacular apartment here in Auckland with amazing views out over the Sky Tower and head to the Sky City bus station and board this Intercity bus service up to the Bay of Islands. Should be a really cracking weekend ahead here in the height of the New Zealand summer. Today's journey begins with a short 5-minute stroll over to the Auckland Central Intercity bus terminal, which is also located adjacent to Sky City Tower and Casino. For your information, the Sky Tower used to actually be the tallest freestanding structure in the whole of the Southern Hemisphere, coming at 328 metres tall. Still quite an impressively tall tower, it's the 28th tallest in the whole world. So today's journey departs from the Intercity bus terminal here in Auckland. It's probably the biggest bus terminal in the whole of the country. It's also home to the SkyDrive service, which you can take to and from Auckland International Airport. Very similar service, this one, very similar to the Skybus in Melbourne, albeit a lot less frequency in services. So here at the Intercity bus terminal, they do have an indoor waiting area, also a booking office where you can book tickets on the day of departure. You can also make inquiries about your service. There's also timetable boards and live departure information as well. Inside the terminal waiting area, there's also locker facilities available, which are only available during daytime hours. There's also tourist information and even a public telephone. Adjacent to the terminal waiting area, you also got a small cafe serving food and snacks. Many of Intercity's bus services transit in Auckland between different services, so if you do find yourself on a little bit of a longer layover, you may wish to visit the Sky City Entertainment Complex and Casino, where there's plenty of restaurants and bars and other sorts of stuff to kill some time. Otherwise, you're in the centre of Auckland CBD, so there's plenty to do and see on a layover here in Auckland. Today we arrived at the Intercity bus terminal with plenty of time to spare ahead of our 1 PM departure up to Pahia this afternoon. Intercity do recommend you arrive at the bus stop, bus station, whatever it may be, at least 15 minutes prior to departure and report directly to the driver. Appears like it's going to be an incredibly busy service this afternoon. Looks like we're not just going to be travelling all on one coach alone, it's actually going to be split up over 2 vehicles. There's a smaller minivan-like vehicle that they're also asking passengers to voluntarily depart on that one instead. Despite them promising and assuring people who want to take the van would get to Pahia a lot quicker, most people still seem to be keen to take the coach. So that really slowed things up as they try to work out who was going to travel on what service. We were taking the van, but yeah, for the purpose of doing a review, I thought it was much better to stick with the coach today. And just like that, welcome on board our coach taking us up to Pahia today. If you notice carefully, it's actually not an Intercity branded coach, but it's indeed operated still by Intercity. Looks like we're being substituted out with another bus due to it being such a busy long weekend coming up here. Obviously they needed more buses to facilitate all the services, I guess. Anyway, we're now departing Auckland, probably a little bit behind schedule now, but better late than never. As for the bus itself, not a huge amount to report about this Clark's coach that Intercity appeared to be hiring for the purpose of this service. Not too unlike just a regular Intercity coach. Leg room is okay, but nothing amazing. No fold-back tray table either, although there's a little small literature pocket in the seat in front of you. Likewise, there's also a small footrest in the seat in front of you, and the seats also have a slight level of recline. Unfortunately, in terms of Wi-Fi, there's actually no Wi-Fi available on board. This is despite Intercity offering Wi-Fi on their services. This is because it's not actually an Intercity bus, it's a Clark's bus. So yeah, this is not the end of the world, but still a little bit of a slight shame nonetheless, because even though I'm in New Zealand, I'm still in a foreign country, and even in this day and age, Telstra only give you 1 gigabyte of roaming data per day. In terms of other amenities, there really isn't anything on board. No restrooms either, so you do have to rely on any rest stops along the way. In terms of entertainment, there's none either, so yeah, do recommend you load up your own devices for some entertainment when travelling with Intercity. And just like that, we're almost ready to depart the Auckland CBD and get on the Auckland Harbour Bridge and head out of town and make our way up north to the beautiful Bay of Islands. Lovely day for travelling, so what better time now just to sit back, relax and enjoy some of the stunning scenery as we head out over the Harbour Bridge and make our way north this afternoon. Once we're a little bit further in our journey, I'll show you what the one and only rest stop is like on today's journey. Then I'll get back to you a little bit further on about my final thoughts and verdict on today's journey. But for now, just sit back, relax and enjoy this stunning scenery in the Northland of New Zealand. And just like that, welcome to the beautiful little town of Kawakawa, which will be the one and only rest stop on today's journey. No restrooms available on board this Intercity Clark's coach. I do recommend you use the facilities at the little cafe and bakery there. But apart from that, it's about a 15-minute so stop to stretch your legs. Maybe you want to visit the cafe as well to get a snack or drink. But yeah, apart from that, great opportunity to have a look at this bus in more detail and maybe even chat to some fellow passengers if you wish. For information, Pahia Intercity do have a policy now requiring you to take all your personal belongings off the coach whenever stopping for a rest stop. Apparently there's been some unfortunate incidents of theft in recent time requiring this policy to come about. So yeah, just take this in mind if you are planning on taking lots of things on board the coach. Might not be the most convenient idea. And just like that, welcome back on board our coach, where we're going to be spending another good few hours on our way up to Pahia this afternoon. Mainly small little towns along the way from here on in, though we will be soon stopping in the rather big city of Whangarei in about 61 kilometres time. So for now, what better time to continue enjoying some lovely scenery outside. And once we then arrive into Paihia later this afternoon, I'll then give my final thoughts and verdict on today's journey with Intercity. just like that, probably about an hour behind schedule, and after 6 o'clock now in the evening on a beautiful summer's afternoon, it's becoming more apparent we're well and truly in the Bay of Islands region of New Zealand now. Now, just before we arrive at the beautiful Paihia waterfront on this lovely summer evening, just a few thoughts about bus travel in New Zealand in more general, perhaps how it compares with back here in Australia. Do think in New Zealand does seem to be a fairly slow going form of transportation, catching the bus. I think road travel in general in New Zealand is just a lot slower affair than in Australia. Speed limits are generally slower, and yeah, there's a lot less major highways that you can travel at faster speed. There's also lots and lots of small towns along the way, sometimes bigger towns and cities as well. And buses in New Zealand tend to stop at every town and city along the way, so plenty of navigating in and out of traffic. Plenty more express services in Australia, such as Sydney to Canberra for example, which seem to be a lot more time efficient. Just keep that in mind when travelling by bus in New Zealand. If you're in Australia, you're usually travelling at 110 kilometres an hour outside of the cities. There's usually far and fewer stops in between. Also a lot more overnight buses in Australia as well. So yeah, you're definitely going to cover a lot bigger distances by bus in a shorter period of time than in New Zealand. The flip side, the positive side for travelling by bus in New Zealand, even though it's slow going compared to Australia, there's never going to be dull scenery out the window. Always very spectacular scenery wherever you're travelling in New Zealand. And just like that, welcome to the Paihia waterfront, where today's bus journey drops us off. Very much in the centre of town, also where you take all the sightseeing cruises and book all your tours for the Bay of Islands region of New Zealand. It's all very central. Paihia's only got a population of around 2,000 people, so very easy to get around on foot. Just like that, welcome to the beautiful town of Pahia, here in the beautiful Bay of Islands up here in the far north of New Zealand. Paihia is largely considered the main tourist town here for the Bay of Islands region. It's nearby to the historic settlements of Waitangi, and also across out there you also got Russell. Anyway, back to today's trip with Intercity. It was certainly an interesting ride today. Had no idea when I booked this that it was a long weekend here in New Zealand. So that meant the roads were incredibly busy, and it seemed like every second Kiwi on the North Island had the same idea to head up to the Bay of Islands for a nice long weekend here in the middle of summer. That meant the roads were incredibly busy. We arrived about an hour behind schedule. It was probably the slowest 225 kilometre bus journey in my life. Took just over 5 hours, running about 1 hour behind schedule. That being said, however, when faced with having to pay over $250 for a 45-minute flight on Air New Zealand, the $55 fare, or $60 if you book fully flexible with Intercity, was a no-brainer for me. Today's service unfortunately wasn't operated by the usual Intercity bus services that I've come to know and really enjoy in some of my past reviews. It was obviously just another sort of bus from Clark's Lines, whatever that is, that they use for this service. So unfortunately that meant no Wi-Fi on this service, so that was a little bit of a bummer, and it certainly didn't have Intercity Gold, or wasn't one of those double-decker buses, so that was a slight shame. And yeah, the traffic was incredibly bumper to bumper. Seemed like the whole of Auckland was heading up north on this Friday afternoon. Credit to the bus driver, however, she did a really good job. She took a few back roads, alternative routes to try and beat the worst of the fit. So yeah, probably arriving an hour behind schedule was pretty good in the grand scope of things. But yeah, over 5 hours to cover 225 kilometres. It was an incredibly slow going journey indeed today. One of the best parts of today's journey was the scenery en route. Some absolutely incredible scenery up here in the Northland of New Zealand. Travelled more around New Zealand during the winter months, more more on the South Island than the North Island, but definitely in the winter months nonetheless. So travelling up here in the summer definitely gives a whole new perspective on New Zealand, and it's a whole new world up here, travelling, exploring the beautiful Bay of Islands region. So from here, from one of the balmiest and warmest places, the palm tree lined streets of Paihia in beautiful Bay of Islands in New Zealand. Really hope you have enjoyed today's bus review with Intercity. Certainly been a bit of a tiring one, to be honest, but yeah, an enjoyable and rewarding one nonetheless once we've got here in the magnificent part of the Northland of New Zealand where we are now. If you have enjoyed it, really appreciate it. Do give it a like, leave your comments down below. Most importantly, whatever brings you to my channel, flight reviews, walking tours, hikes, driving videos, whatever it is, really appreciate if you do subscribe and obviously hit that bell and notification button so you won't miss any of it. Also visit my website aussiejetsetter.com.au for latest and flight reviews, industry news, destination guides, frequent flyer hacks and more. Also put a link to my socials in the description below, dedicated Instagram and Aussie JetSetter Shorts channel as well, so you can check out what I'm doing in the world in real time. That is really, really cool. Also visit my dedicated Discord server for fans and community of the channel as well to discuss all things aviation and travel. And from here in beautiful Pahia in the Bay of Islands of New Zealand, thanks so much for watching today's bus review. Kia ora, safe travels wherever that might take you.